Okay, so today we are doing something different, a little scary for me because as a Mac user, I never go into machines and tinker. I have Windows computers, laptops, so basically just like my Macs, I use them till they're no good anymore and then I get rid of them and buy a new one. But we are playing with the Steam Deck today, and I bought the 64 gig version because it was cheap. And I'm going to be putting in a new, you guys can see it here. I think you can see it here. Yes. Anyways, a new solid state drive into it, a terabyte. So there's a few things that you have to do in advance. First off, well, you need to make sure you have a solid state drive. Number two is there's a couple tools that you should have. So because we have to open up the Steam Deck, we need to have some kind of like pry tools. So I have two here. If you have or have bought like a PC repair kit, those usually will come with one. They're usually very inexpensive. I have a set of screwdrivers right here, and this is a precision screwdriver set. Oh yeah. But you can probably get these for like, I don't know, 10 bucks, something like that. If you want to make it a little easier down the road, my recommendation would be, since we're having to reinstall the operating system as well, something's going on back there, you're going to probably want some kind of USB hub, something that you can stick your USB drive in, because that's where we're going to be putting the operating system. And of course, you're going to be needing a USB flash drive. So I have a little tiny 64 gig here, but you really don't need anything big, just big enough to hold the operating system. And as far as I know, it's not overly large. So I'm doing the computer part first, because for a lot of us, we can get this part running while we go work on the Steam Deck. So if you have your Windows computer handy, first off, you're going to go do a search for SteamOS. Okay, so you can actually see here, and I'll put links down below. I just did a search for SteamOS download, and you'll see download SteamOS Deck image, which is great. It's got the image and everything ready for you. Scroll down to the bottom here. You're going to have to accept all this. Yes, yes, yes. And at that point, the image starts coming down. Is it big? 2.5 gigs. So depending on your internet will depend on how long that takes. Now, the other program that you need is this one here, and it's called Rufus, and it's just rufus.ie. This is the program that allows us to take that image that we're downloading from Steam, the operating system, and take it and create a bootable USB drive. So if we were just to copy that ISO on here, the Steam Deck wouldn't have any idea what to do with it. So we need this, because this is going to be what makes it awesome. And that's why we also need this, because we need a way for this to plug in so that it functions. Yes? Yes. Okay, so I've actually downloaded the SteamOS already, so I don't need to continue that. And I've got Rufus downloaded as well. So I'm going to just close out of this screen. And for me, it will download into your downloads folder. I have already downloaded it, of course. And there's Rufus right there. So all we have to do is open this. Yes. And there it is. Okay. Now, one of the things that you may want to do, if you pop in this USB stick and it doesn't show up. So if you come in here, for instance, and I pop mine in here. Okay. Mine did show up, right? EFI 64 gig, right? If it doesn't, make sure you have this list USB hard drives, because if not, it may not see it. Now, I've never had an issue, but I have on my other, when I tried to do a Windows bootable, I had to turn that on. So just, if it shows up, great. If it doesn't, try hitting this list USB hard drive. Disk ISO image, right? We have it set to select. So we're going to just come in here. Yes, select. It's going to say, where is it? And at this point in time, we are going to see, for me, of course, it'll probably be in your downloads folder, but there it is right here, Steam Deck Recovery. Tap, open, and we have everything ready to go. Now, we can't even go in here and play with it. Everything is pretty much grayed out as far as I can tell. At this point, we're going to hit start, right? Off she goes. And this is why I do this first, because depending on how fast your USB stick is, this may take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, who knows, right? But let her go, and we'll be off to the races. Once that's done, of course, we now have a bootable USB stick. I'm having all kinds of issues with focusing lately. It is very, very bizarre. I don't quite understand it. This is the part that is going to be the most worrisome. Because we have to open this thing up, right? Yes, and we want to make sure we have all the tools, which we should. We have our pry bars, we have our screwdrivers, we have our solid state drive, we have our goodness. Now, the one thing you might want to do is if you have anything metal around you, touch it, you know, just make sure you get all the static out of you if possible. It's even better if you have a static mat. I probably have one somewhere, but right now I do not. And have something to put the screws. Now, again, I don't have anything official, so I'm using a phone case. Yep, all you Windows people out there are probably like, really? That's what you're using? Yeah, that's what I'm using. So I have mine in a case, which means that it has to come out of the case, which I'm a fan of this case. I am. I don't know when this video is coming out, but that case, what was it? It's 17 bucks Canadian. Really good. So what I want to do here, before I do anything, I'm going to pause for a second because I'm going to get a towel so that I can put this down on it so we don't scratch it. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, one step better. I found my mat. Look at that, my static mat. Now I feel all professional. Okay, we're spinning this around and you can see there are 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 screws, like I said before, 8 screws. Now what we need to do is find the right screwdriver for this. So this is where we do a lot of hoping. Well, I think that's the winner. I think that's the winner right there. So that's going in there. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir, ma'am, sir. Let's see. All right, so we're basically going to take these out. And I got little drawers over there now. That's nice. I'll speed through this because you don't need to watch me unscrew stuff. Now, before I unscrew all of them, you will notice, hopefully, it's hard to see, but the inside screws, these ones in here, are smaller than the outside screws. So make sure that you keep them separated so that you make sure that you put them in properly. Longer screws on the outside, shorter screws on the inside. Yes. And it's also really important, again, to make sure you get the right size screw head so that it doesn't strip. So you want it to fill the notch, you know, because I've even seen people get smaller, and what happens then, of course, is that's the easiest way to strip. Okay, so this is doing its magic. Now what we need to do is separate this. So this is where we can get pry tools. This is where pry tools are at its finest. So the easiest way for me was to start in by the triggers and just kind of slide across, and then she just kind of pops open a little bit. So at that point in time, I'm thinking we should be, we're getting there. We're getting there. There we go. Again, you don't want to be too forceful, right? Just going to get it in there and slide across the bottom. Here we go. It's all crazy to me. All right, so there she comes. Off we are. Now, this is where the magic happens. So there are 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, which have to come off. And this is basically a heat shield. I can't remember if this had to come off. This may have to, because I think this one actually may cover maybe one of the screws. Let's just peel that back and see. Yeah, there's a screw right there. So let's just, okay, that's coming out nice. That's excellent. I'm going to put these ones over here. These ones are the smallest ones for sure. Oh, that just lifts. Look at that. I think we can just lift that backwards. That may be even better. Sweet deal. Now this right here is power. We're going to use this, and basically all we're going to do is slowly try to get, and it's just, don't go be aggressive with this, right? This really is a slow process because we need to get the power out. Yes. Yes. There we go. Fingernails to the rescue. Perfect. So there you guys can see it. That's out now, right? Awesome. All right. I think we're doing okay. Last but not least, there's a screw down here. This is the actual solid state drive that is in here. This little guy. All right. So same size as the other one. Excellent. And this just pops out. Now this is its kind of like heat sink or heat shield. So just kind of be aware. We're going to pull that off. That just should slide off, I figure. Yes. I don't think it, maybe it only goes, there it goes. It's easier to come off this way, just so you guys know. So we're going to put that there. That goes like that. So I remember which way to put it back in. And we are going to install this. Now I'm pretty nervous because you know, sometimes you're just playing around, you know, sometimes you're just playing around. Okay, so this did come with an extra, looks like some screws, but I don't think we need them. This goes, as far as I know, back in, so we will snug that back in here. All right, so you may notice that some things have changed. My Steam Deck is back together because I had installed the drive, gone through the whole process, realized that the drive was faulty, completely faulty. As running the software, the Steam Deck just kept saying there is no drive inside this. So I put the old drive back in, worked fine. So just so you know, you can get faulty drives. So a friend of mine had also done this upgrade, and this is the drive he bought. So I ordered this one, the CyanCon, I don't know what it is. It's 512 gigs. So I went from a terabyte down to a 512 gig, but I could get this faster. And what I ended up doing was, with the money that I saved from going to a smaller internal SSD, 512 is still lots. I ended up buying myself a 1 terabyte micro SD card. So I end up now having 1.5 terabytes versus only having 1 terabyte. So that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip through the install process to get where we would have been with the old drive. You don't need to watch that again. And what we'll do is we'll continue from there. But before I do that, because there was a few things that I should have said that I didn't say. And number one was kind of this. When you take your case apart, because I totally forgot about this. When you take your case apart, make sure you take your micro SD card out if you have one in there, because if not, the case can't separate properly because the micro SD card is in there, and you'll either not be able to separate the case properly, or you'll break your micro SD card. And if that's a big card like a 1 terabyte card, that could be fairly expensive. So I'm going to whip this around, and I may talk about a few things before we continue on once I get to that point. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so I got it back open again, and I wanted to just show you one thing that, again, I didn't show you the first time around, is that I peeled this back, which was great. I took the screw out, which is great. But there are two other screws, and you may not be able to see it, but there is a screw down here, and there is a screw up here. So you can kind of just fold this back, is what I've learned. But there is 3 screws, so you can take the screw out here and the screw out there, and this piece just lifts off. So again, that's probably the best way to do it, because of course if you bend this and for whatever reason those metal pieces snap, then you're up the creek, you know. All right, I am going to replace this and I'll be right back. Okay, the other thing to talk about is when you are taking the other drive out, taking it off is usually pretty easy, but depending on the drive that you get and you're putting back in here, they can be really tight. Example, the one that I replaced originally that ended up not working was thicker. So trying to get it on and off, it can be really difficult, but you can just unpeel this. It's got enough stick, you can see you can just unpeel it and it'll come back off again like this. And then you can just wrap the new drive with this again and you should be good to go. So keep that old drive with you just in case, because like my previous experience, maybe the new drive you buy decides to not work, or it may not work out of the box, or it may not work just down the road. So if you have your old drive, you can always just kind of put it back in. Now the nice thing about this drive, and unlike the other one that just came in a weird box, look at that. That's all fancy. Protected? I think I like that. That's nice. And it's protected in such a way that I can't even get the box open. Oh no, I got it. We're good. Look at that. Look at that, hey? That's all right. And Canadian wise was only 99 bucks. So that's not too bad. And it just looks, little seals, even comes with a little screwdriver on the drive. Sweet deal. And an extra screw all laid out nice. That's really nice. I'm impressed. And then, oops, and then all we're gonna do is put this back on and I'll re-put everything back in. You'll notice I have the full plate off this time. So I'll put all the screws in. And then we'll continue with the actual installation of the software. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so everything is back together. Now, the one thing I haven't done, because I do want to make sure everything works, is I haven't put, you guys may be able to see it up here, I haven't put the rear screws back in, because again, just in case, I want to be able to take the back off easier than not. So this is my USB stick with a USB to USB-C adapter. You guys see it here, but you can use a USB hub, anything like that. I'm going to just stick that in here. And basically what we're going to do is we hold the volume up and the power till it chimes. There's the chime. And now this boot can take a bit longer because it is booting, or will be booting, off of the actual USB-C stick. So now we just kind of hold tight and wait a minute. Cross our fingers this time. And yeah, last time during this phase, what happened was that it just came up and said, there's nothing, there's nowhere to write this. So you get a couple options that come up right here. We're going to hit this one, right? So this guy right here, I think there it is, slide over there, click on it, tap on it, A button on it, there we go. And we have our USB drive. Yes, that's what we want to boot off of. Now again, depending on how fast your USB stick is, will depend on how fast this whole next process takes. So we're going to click here. Now it's actually booting off of that USB stick. And I cross my fingers at this point. But if I can do any of this stuff, so can you. So I'm not, again, I don't normally go in and do all this kind of stuff. I like external devices for the most part. But this is a portable, right? So I don't want to necessarily be carrying around a bunch of externals. And so far, so good. And basically at the top, you'll see a couple options there. All we're going to do is it's the second one where it's re-image. We'll tap that and proceed. And this is way better than the first time around, because the first round I didn't get any of this. So at this point in time, as far as I know, we just sit back, relax, watch all the text going back and forth. And I'll see you once this part is finished.
And as you can see, that was crazy fast. So again, if you have a fast USB stick, this should be quick, right? It actually came up re-imaging complete. It's been like a minute, maybe a minute. So we're gonna hit proceed here. See what happens. As far as I know, at this point in time, it should come up just like it came out for the very first time when you opened it. So just boom, boom, I'm saying, which is excellent. So let's find out. Oh, the fan's kicking in. Must be doing some work. Again, this is now the first time, so don't expect this to be as fast a boot as it does normally because of the fact that it's getting everything ready. So a little bit of patience is good. Oh yeah, there it is. So I'm gonna go through my setup like I would normally, and once we're finished here, we'll go in and check the storage and make sure everything's okay. So I'll be right back. Oh, so I think all the updates have finally done. So the first part, probably the fastest part. The longest part is waiting for all the installs and all the updates to install. But press any button here. I've logged in, or tap the screen. We could tap the screen. You can see it goes through all the tutorial stuff like it did the first time. I'm just going to tap this. Have fun. Okay. Question now is, what's my storage? Does it go from 64 gigs to 512 or 5 something? Settings. Let's see. I do have more updates. Sweet. But storage is the key. Look at that. 463 gigs. Which is kind of what you expect because they're always lower than what it actually says. Lots of space. I'm ready to go. All right, guys, hopefully that was beneficial. I did it in real time, and let's be honest, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to be fairly confident. Now, the one thing that I found, number one, is the little corner screws, if you take them out, they're a little bit of a pain to get in. So make sure you have like a screwdriver with a magnetic tip on it. That's definitely going to help you. Last but not least, again, well, not last, make sure that your SD card is out if you have one in. If not, you could break that. And then when it's doing its install, just be patient. It takes some time. It probably took about 20 minutes. All right, guys, that's it. All good. We're going to do some more updating, more little things on what you can do with this as I learn. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and I will see you guys next video. Later.